This video is about the Apple Mac Studio. At a glance, the Mac Studio is a pro-oriented desktop, a hybrid between a Mac Mini and a Mac Pro. Equipped with an M1 Max or M1 Ultra chip, tons of ports, and a new thermal design. Should you buy the Mac Studio? The Mac Studio is Apple's most powerful custom silicon-based Mac, offering extreme performance and a wide range of ports in a modular desktop form factor. The Mac Studio is Apple's most powerful custom silicon-based Mac. The Mac Studio starts at $1,999, and the Mac Studio display starts at $1,599. Here is everything you need to know about Mac Studio. The Mac Studio is a cross between a Mac Mini and a Mac Pro. Apple's M1 Max Mac Pro chip features a 10-core CPU, 24-core GPU, 16-core neural engine, media engine, 400 GB memory bandwidth, and up to 64 GB unified memory. The more expensive Mac Studio with an all-new M1 Ultra chip is 3.8 times faster than Intel Core i9 iMac in terms of performance. The Mac Studio can be configured with the same M1 Max chip as the Mac Mini or a new M1 Ultra chip. The Mac Studio has faster performance than a 28-core Mac Pro Tower, released in December 2019. In terms of connectivity, on the back of the Mac Studio, connectivity options include 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports, 2 USB ports, 1 HDMI port, 1 10 GB Ethernet port, and a 3.5 mm headphone jack. The computer supports Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.0. There is an SD card slot on the front, along with 2 USB-C ports for M1 Max configurations or 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports for M1 Ultra configurations. The design. The Mac Studio takes design cues from both the Mac Mini and the Mac Pro. It uses the same squircle shape as the Mac Mini, with a square-shaped design with rounded corners. The Mac Studio front. The Mac Studio is 3.7 inches tall and 7.7 inches wide on each side. Apple says that it is sized to fit perfectly under most displays, including the Studio display sold alongside it. The Mac Studio dimensions. The extra weight in the M1 Ultra version is due to a difference in thermal needs. The M1 Max version has an aluminum heatsink, while the Ultra version has a larger copper module. The Mac Studio internals. To dissipate heat and allow for quiet operation, the Mac Studio has a series of airflow channels at the back and the bottom of the machine. The machine pulls in air from the bottom and pushes it out through the more than 4,000 perforations at the front and back of the chassis to cool the internal components. The M1 Max and M1 Ultra chips. The Mac Studio can be purchased with either M1 Max or M1 Ultra chips. Apple uses Ultra Fusion, a custom-built packaging architecture, for the M1 Ultra. The M1 Max is the same chip that was first introduced in the MacBook Pro, while the M1 Ultra is essentially 2 M1 Max chips working together in tandem to form a single chip for double the performance of the M1 Max. The Silicon chips. The M1 Max chip features a 10-core CPU with 8 high-performance and 2 high-efficiency cores. The M1 Ultra chip, which Apple says is 2.5 times faster than the Core i9 chip in the now discontinued 27-inch iMac, offers 3.8 times faster CPU performance. Apple says it can deliver a PC chip's peak performance using 100W less power. The Mac Studio Ultra Performance GPU. Apple's M1 Max chip offers 3.4 times faster GPU performance than the 27-inch Core i9 iMac, and the M1 Ultra offers up to 4.5 times faster GPU performance. Unified memory. The M1 Max Mac Studio has 64 GB of unified memory and 400 GB per second's memory bandwidth. The M1 Ultra Mac Studio supports up to 128 GB of unified memory and 800 gigabytes per second memory bandwidth. Storage. By default, the M1 Max Studio comes with a 512 gigabytes SSD, while the base M1 Ultra Max Studio ships with a 1 terabyte SSD. The Mac Studio display. The Mac Studio is being pitched hand-in-hand with the Apple Studio display, a 27-inch 5K display designed to work with it. The Studio display works with other Macs and iPads, although it was explicitly built for the Mac Studio. It's the first new Apple display since the Pro Display XDR, and it's a lower-cost alternative for the XDR in some ways, but doesn't cover all of the same ground. At $1,600, the Studio display is certainly more attainable than the $5,000 Pro Display XDR. The Mac Studios can deliver a ton of performance. As great as the overall Mac Studio experience is, you can't upgrade the Mac Studio Max or Ultra configuration. Their RAM is built right into the M1 chips, so there's no physical way to expand the memory. The Max configuration comes with 32 gigabytes of RAM by default, while the Ultra configuration has 64 gigabytes. External GPU are also out of the question since Apple's silicon depends on direct access to GPU hardware. Apple's M1 chips are based on mobile ARM architecture, so you can't install Windows on the Mac Studio like you could with Intel-based Macs. Obviously, Apple would like you to think of the Mac Studio and Studio Display as a perfectly matched pair of devices. If you're building a high-end video production or other creative workspaces, that's an appealing combination that solves many problems in a single package. If you want a powerful Mac desktop and you are okay with the lack of upgradability, the Mac Studio will serve you well for years. Unlike the iMac Pro, the Mac Studio is easy to tell who it is designed for. It's designed for content creators who require more than a Mac Mini, but not a full-fledged Mac Pro desktop. People who need a lot of power, many ports, and hardware that isn't too expensive. It took a long time, but Apple has finally released a Mac desktop that can compete with PC workstations for less than $5,000. If you think you need the sheer power of the Mac Studio, then you probably need the Mac Studio. The Studio delivers more performance than the M1 Max-powered MacBook Pros, but it costs significantly less and gives you access to all the ports you want from a desktop. The major takeaway: the Mac Studio will provide a lot of performance without producing much heat or noise. Geekbench 5 and Cinebench R23 multi-threaded results for the M1 Ultra-powered Mac Studio were the highest. The M1 Ultra outperformed Intel's 14 and 16-core 12th generation CPU significantly. Subscribe to our channel for more because why not? And it's free. Like our video, it helps you to show it to other people who might be interested in this topic. If you like this video, you might also like this one on the screen. Until next time, I am Lucia. Cheers and have a good one.